Hello everyone, hope you're doing amazing. Remember it's Chelanga here, and we've been discussing the constitution. We started by the devolved government, and today we're gonna break down the constitution and what it consists and how it helps us rule the country. So remember the constitution has 18 chapters to 64 articles and 6 schedules. So basically the chapters each has an article that they consist, and article tries to define how it should be opposed to the people. And the schedules are the schedule is simply means how they are positioned. So we have 6 schedules. So I'll be naming the chapter and the schedule. The chapter I'll do it in the next episode. So starting up with chapter 1. So chapter 1 to chapter 3 is the first schedule, and chapter 1 is sovereignty of the people. It says that all sovereign powers belong to the people of Kenya, who exercise through elective representatives of their interests. 2 being the supremacy. So the constitution is the supreme law binding all persons and all state organs. The third one being the citizenship. So the constitution allows for dual citizenship and prohibits gender discrimination in acquisition of the citizenship. Gender, the constitution manze inaanza tu na inakata corruption, but I don't know what when someone gets into office. Sijui wanatoaga wapi hiyo power ya kuanza kukua corrupt. So chapter 1 to chapter 3, that's the first schedule. The second schedule is chapter 4. It's the Bill of Rights. In this chapter, it majorly highlights and guarantees extensive social, economic and political rights, including the rights to food, healthcare, housing and a clean environment. It provides specific protection for children and persons with disabilities. That's chapter 2, schedule 2. Remember it has 6 schedules and 18 chapters. So I read the chapters referring to the schedule. The articles I'll do it in the next episode. So chapter 5 to chapter 7 is the third schedule. So we start with chapter 5. So chapter 5 is a land. Chapter 7 being leadership and representation of the people. So land and environment, it establishes principles of land policies and classifies land into public, community and private land. Chapter 6 being leadership and integrity. So this sets strict ethical and financial conduct requirements for state officers, aimed at ensuring accountability and preventing corruption. That's chapter 6. It's more of leadership and integrity. What you ought, how the leader ought to present himself to the people. Chapter 7 being the last chapter in this schedule is the representation of the people. So this chapter mandates an inclusive electoral system and establishes the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which we all know as the IEBC. So that's chapter 7, schedule number 3. Chapter 8 to chapter 10, this is the fourth schedule, and the arms of the government. Remember, we have 3 arms of the government. The constitution ensures a clear separation of the powers. We have the legislature, the executive and the judiciary. The legislature is a parliament consisting of 2 parliaments, the National Assembly and the Senate, responsible for lawmaking and oversight. The Senate represents the county's interest, while the National Assembly represents all Kenyans. The executive headed by the president with clear limitations on power and defined roles for the cabinet and the attorney general. And remember, judiciary is the only arm of government that is independent. It's the independent arm of the government, including a new Supreme Court as the High Court, a Court of Appeal and the High Court. So remember that that's the fourth schedule. The fifth schedule is the chapter 11 to 15. It's devolution, finance and independent offices. So chapter 11 starts with the devolved government. It's a core pillar that divides the counties into 47 counties. with its own county government, executive and assembly. to ensure access to service and public participation. Public finance, being the 12th chapter, provides framework for transparency, accountable management for public funds, including both the national levels of government in the budget process. So the last chapter being commission and independent office. So remember that the 5th schedule, commissions and independent offices. So it establishes various commissions, e.g. the National Land Commission, Judicial Service Commission, to safeguard democratic process and ensure government accountability. And amendment process outlines specific procedures for amending the constitution through either a parliamentary or a popular initiative, with certain and stretched clauses requiring a referendum. So the last schedule is the 18th chapter. Remember, this is the last schedule and it only sits by its own. So it's the transitional provisions. The 6th schedule details that the temporary arrangements are necessary legislation to smoothen implement the new constitution order. So this comes as key. If you need any corrections, it goes to chapter 18. This chapter 18 you ought to face on. So it's the transitional provisions. Details temporary arrangement are necessary legislation to smoothen and implement the new constitution in order. And remember the points to check out, or the chapters to check out. Remember, we have the devolved government being the chapter number 11. These are core pillar that divides the counties into 47 counties, bringing powers to a common mwananchi, each with its own government. So government, the only arm of the government that the counties does not have is the judiciary, being it's independent. So they have the executive and the assembly. The executive being the governor, the deputy governor, and the assembly being the senator and the members of county assembly. And so I think another chapter to figure on is the public finance. This provides frameworks for transparent and accountable management of public funds, involving both national and county levels of government in the budget process. So this is how our taxes are run, how our money is provided equally to the 47 counties and the national government. And when it comes to the leader himself, we have the leadership and integrity being the 6th chapter. So it says 6 ethical and financial conduct requirements for state offices, aimed at ensuring accountability and preventing corruption. Cut.